Muggles versus Wizards. This is a Muggle, and this is a wizard. Once upon a time, they actually liked each other. Muggles invented diseases, wizards cured them. Teamwork. But then, as every good magical friendship goes, someone freaked out and started burning people. It began in the 1300s. The world was falling apart. Famine, disease, superstition, and people needed someone to blame. Who better than the neighbor brewing radioactive soup at 3 a.m.? At first, it was small stuff. Side eyes, whispers, a few witches dunked in rivers. But by the 1400s, it was chaos. Witch hunts spread faster than a viral Coldplay kiss cam video and caused about the same career damage. Wizards tried to stay calm, wiping memories faster than a bad Tinder date. But when your house keeps getting torched because your neighbor swears he saw your broom move, patience runs out. Soon spells met swords. The early Wizards Council tried diplomacy, but it's hard to talk peace when the other side brings pitchforks. Some wizards hid, some fought back. Others decided Muggles just weren't worth saving. Dark wizards, of course, loved the chaos. They faked hauntings, spread rumors, and kept Muggles terrified forever. Think Voldemort, but beta version, nose and hair included. By the 1600s, the relationship was dead. The Salem witch trials were the final breakup text. Muggles burned their own while real witches vanished in smoke. Wizards finally accepted it. Time to ghost humanity for good. Pure blood families like the Gaunts went full off-grid, hiding behind spells that made their homes look like ruins. The Peverils built secret towns, early versions of Hogsmeade and Godric's Hollow, disguised by ancient magic. Then came the big decision, 1692, the International Statute of Secrecy. From that day on, magic went underground. The Ministry hid everything, creatures, castles, even Hogwarts itself. And just like that, centuries of shared history vanished. Wizards chose safety over connection. Muggles moved on, forgetting they ever shared the same world. Goblins versus wizards. This is a goblin, and this is a wizard. Still recovering from centuries of fighting Muggles. Now imagine locking both in a room and arguing about money for 300 years. Yeah, welcome to the Goblin Rebellions. After the Statute of Secrecy forced wizards underground, they needed an economy. Vaults, coins, metalwork. So, naturally, they turned to goblins. These small but brilliant creatures had been crafting enchanted armor, blades, and coins since before Hogwarts existed. But while wizards loved their work, they didn't love them. To the wizarding elite, goblins were magical beings, not equals. They couldn't own wands or vote in the Wizengamot, and were constantly blamed for untrustworthy behavior, a phrase invented by the same people who stole from them. You see, goblins believe ownership belongs to the maker, not the buyer. So, when a wizard bought a goblin-made sword, used it for 20 years, and then died, goblins just took it back. Wizards, being wizards, called that theft. By 1612, patience snapped. The first major rebellion erupted in Hogsmeade. Yes, that cozy butterbeer village once looked like a war zone. Goblin clans armed themselves with cursed blades, enchanted armor, and because they're extra, weaponized silver. The Ministry sent Aurors and hit wizards to crush it. Battles raged under Gringotts, leaving scars still hidden beneath its marble floors. For the next 2 centuries, uprisings kept flaring. The 1670 rebellion, the 1752 Wiltshire massacre, the riots that nearly toppled the Ministry, each ended the same. Peace talks, broken promises, repeat. Wizards accused goblins of plotting with werewolves. Goblins accused wizards of rewriting laws to keep them enslaved. Both were kind of right. Ragnuk the First, the goblin who forged the Sword of Gryffindor, became a legend. When wizards refused to return it, his followers attacked so fiercely the council buried it in Hogwarts for protection. Centuries later, that same sword would reappear in the hands of a certain chosen one. Poetic revenge, if you ask the goblins. By the late 1700s, the rebellions finally quieted. Not because anyone won, but because everyone was exhausted. Goblins got partial autonomy inside Gringotts. Wizards got stability. The mistrust, still there. Giants versus wizards. After the Statute of Secrecy, wizards wanted everything under control. Any creature that might expose magic had to be hidden or eliminated. Giants didn't hide well. They were loud, enormous, and allergic to subtlety. And when they stomped through villages, Muggles noticed. At first, the Ministry tried diplomacy, sending translators, food, and enchanted gifts. But giants don't negotiate with people half their height holding wands. Talks became fights. Fights became war. The first giant war War erupted in the early 1700s. Wizards unleashed firestorms and freezing charms that reshaped valleys. Giants answered with boulders the size of cottages, and clubs that flattened 10 men at once. Villages vanished, forests burned for weeks. By the late 18th century, giants were nearly gone. Some killed, others exiled to the coldest mountains. A few fled north beyond Norway, hunted by fear and frost. The ministry called it preservation. Dumbledore called it what it was, tragedy. An ancient race erased and rewritten as myth. By the 20th century, fewer than 100 remained, so when Hagrid brought 2 back, including his half-brother Garp, it wasn't just dangerous, it was historic. Grindelwald versus the world. It started small. In the 1890s, Gellert Grindelwald was expelled from Durmstrang for too much curiosity and not enough supervision. Translation: dark experiments, possible explosions. He fled to Godric's Hollow because of course every major world event starts in that village. And there he met a young Albus Dumbledore. Both brilliant, both ambitious, both convinced they could fix the world if everyone else would just listen. Their plan? A new world order where wizards ruled for the greater good. Well, spoiler, it did not go well. A 3-way duel between Gellert, Albus, and Albus's brother, Aberforth, killed their sister, Ariana. Grindelwald vanished. Dumbledore stayed and blamed himself for the rest of his life. By the 1920s, Grindelwald was back, this time with a fan club, under fake names and silver speeches. He preached liberation to magical youth tired of hiding under the Statute of Secrecy. His message? Wizards were meant to lead, not conceal. Translation? Let's start a cult with better outfits. He promised freedom, but only for purebloods. Idealists became soldiers. Cities vanished, governments fell, and across Europe an invisible war began. Wands, not weapons. While Muggles fought 2 world wars, Wizards fought one of their own, and honestly, it had better special effects. Entire nations changed hands without a single Muggle noticing. Grindelwald ruled from Nurmengard, his gloomy fortress in Austria, where prisoners carved the Deathly Hallow symbol into the walls. 3 lines, 1 revolution, 0 chill. By the 1930s, his control stretched across continental Europe. Even the American Makusa wizards declared him public enemy number 1. But he kept slipping away faster than a Hufflepuff during detention. Then came 1945, the same year another tyrant fell in the Muggle world. By then, Grindelwald's revolution had devoured most of Europe. His followers, the Acolytes, believed wizards should rule openly over Muggles for the greater good, because apparently quoting yourself makes tyranny sound inspirational. Desperate magical governments formed what historians later called the Global Confederation of Wizards. Among its leaders, Albus Dumbledore, once Grindelwald's best friend, now the only wizard alive who could stop him. But he couldn't fight him, literally. They made a blood pact, a magical vow preventing them from ever dueling. Then Grindelwald got creative and evil. He hunted a Qilin, a mythical creature that senses pure hearts and bows only to the worthy. Traditionally, it helped choose new leaders of the wizarding world. Grindelwald killed one, reanimated it, and staged his own divine coronation. Basically, wizarding politics meets zombie unicorn. Dumbledore and his allies exposed the fraud, shattering his influence, and in the chaos, breaking the magical bond that kept them apart. Freed at last, Dumbledore led the assault on Nurmengard himself. The duel lasted 4 hours. Fire, lightning, transfiguration, you name it. The Elder Wand met its match, and for once, Dumbledore wasn't holding back. Grindelwald was defeated and imprisoned in the fortress he built for others. Poetic justice served cold. Decades later, Voldemort came looking for the Elder Wand and killed him where he stood. One dark era ended that day, but another had already begun. Voldemort versus the Prophecy. Before he was the most feared wizard alive, he was Tom Marvolo Riddle, an orphan born from a witch and a Muggle father who took one look at the situation and disapparated emotionally. Raised in a grim Muggle orphanage, Tom realized early that he could make things move and people suffer. By the time he arrived at Hogwarts in the 1940s, he was charming, brilliant, and had that future Dark Lord sparkle in his eye. At school, he learned about Horcruxes, magical objects made by splitting your soul through murder. You know, casual bedtime reading. By graduation, he'd already made one. Tom Riddle disappeared after Hogwarts, traveling the world and shedding his humanity like old skin. When he returned, he was no longer Tom. He was Lord Voldemort. Still had a nose back then and was convinced he was leading the pureblood renaissance no one asked for. By the 1970s, the wizarding world was finally calm after Grindelwald's fall. But peace never lasts long when a sociopath Slytherin dropout starts collecting followers. He called them Death Eaters, not just hooded killers, but politicians politicians, pure blood heirs, and the kind of people who say actually before explaining oppression. Under Voldemort, fear became law. Half-bloods vanished. Muggleborns were hunted. Even saying his name became taboo. The Ministry of Magic denied everything, calling it isolated incidents. Classic bureaucratic move. Meanwhile, you could be having tea with a Death Eater and not even know it. Then came the Resistance, the Order of the Phoenix, founded by Dumbledore. It was a secret group of witches and wizards fighting when the Ministry wouldn't. James and Lily Potter, Sirius Black, the Longbottoms, all young, outnumbered, and too brave for their own good. But somewhere in the shadows, a prophecy was made. Professor Trelawney predicted that a child born at the end of July would have the power to defeat the Dark Lord. Voldemort overheard part of it, because of course he did, and decided it meant Harry Potter. And in trying to stop the prophecy, he fulfilled it. He killed James and Lily Potter, Harry's parents, but her sacrifice created an ancient protection he couldn't comprehend. When he tried to kill their baby son, the curse rebounded. Voldemort exploded himself and left behind a baby with a scar, a legacy, and crippling trauma. That night ended the First Wizarding War on paper. The Ministry claimed victory, but the survivors knew better. The boy's scar wasn't just a wound, it was a countdown. Voldemort versus Harry. In 1995, the Whispers started again. Disappearances, murders, and one boy, the same one who ended the First War, claimed that Lord Voldemort, the most feared dark wizard in history, was back. The Ministry called him a liar. The Daily Prophet called him dramatic, and the wizarding world looked away, like it always does when things get uncomfortable. But behind the denial, Voldemort was busy rebuilding quietly, strategically, and apparently without a mirror. His followers returned one by one: Lucius Malfoy, Bellatrix Lestrange, and every pureblood who still used the word Muggle like it was an insult. They hadn't moved on, just waited for their noseless boss to respawn. By the time the Ministry finally admitted the truth, it was too late. Voldemort had infiltrated everything, from the Department of Mysteries, which guards ancient magical secrets, to Hogwarts itself. Albus Dumbledore, the headmaster, reformed the Order of the Phoenix, gathered anyone still brave or reckless enough to fight. Meanwhile, Harry, still technically a student, created Dumbledore's army, because if the adults won't save the world, you might as well hand the job to a group of teenagers. Then came the turning point, the Battle of the Department of Mysteries. A prophecy was revealed: neither can live while the other survives. Translation: it's you or him, kid. It explained everything. Years earlier, when Voldemort tried to kill baby Harry, part of his soul stuck to him like a cursed sticker, turning Harry into an accidental Horcrux. After revealing the prophecy that night at the Department of Mysteries, Sirius Black, Harry's godfather and part-time bad influence, died, and the world could no longer pretend Voldemort was gone. A year later, Dumbledore was dead, killed on the astronomy tower by Severus Snape, a Death Eater working as a double agent in a secret plan to protect Draco Malfoy and keep Voldemort's trust. Why was Snape working as a double agent, you ask? This is a long story, but we'll make it short. Pay attention. It's basically a wizarding telenovela. Snape was in love with Lily Evans, yes, Harry's mom, but Lily fell for James Potter, the guy with the hair and the ego to match. Heartbroken, Snape joined Voldemort's crew. Terrible coping strategy. Then Voldemort decided to kill Lily, and Snape went crawling back to Dumbledore, begging him to protect her. He failed. Lily died. Voldemort exploded himself, and Snape spent the rest of his life protecting the boy who looked like his bully with his crush's eyes. Afterward, Voldemort stole the Elder Wand from Dumbledore's tomb, a legendary wand said to make its master unbeatable. Unfortunately, no one told him the wand didn't do loyalty, it did ownership. He killed Snape thinking it would transfer to him, not realizing Draco had disarmed Dumbledore first, and Harry had later disarmed Draco. So technically, the most powerful wand in history was loyal to a teenager armed with nothing but trauma and plot armor. With Dumbledore gone, Harry, Ron, and Hermione went underground to hunt the remaining Horcruxes, the only way to finally end Voldemort. By 1997, the Ministry had fallen. Death Eaters filled every office. Propaganda filled the streets, and Hogwarts became both a school and a prison. Snape ran it under orders, secretly protecting the students while pretending to be the villain. And then came the end, the Battle of Hogwarts. Students, teachers, centaurs, house elves, and giants. Yes, giants, all fought side by side. The castle burned, heroes fell. Fred Weasley, Remus Lupin, Tonks, Colin Creevey, and in the Great Hall, the prophecy reached its end. Harry faced Voldemort, not as the boy who lived, but as the boy who chose. The Elder Wand refused to kill its true master. The spell rebounded and Voldemort exploded himself again. So yeah, the guy who turned himself into a snake-human hybrid to avoid dying pulled it off twice. Congratulations! Maybe the resurrection ritual should have included the line, Step 4, keep your nose. Voldemort's gone, sure, but the Elder Wand, that little stick's been causing drama for centuries. The next lesson at Stickman Hogwarts, all 14 Masters of the Elder Wand explained. Snape's waiting. Click now before he gives you detention.